Check, check. There we go. Hello, everybody. This is going to be the Southwest Florida Newbie Net here in just a minute. This is the Southwest Florida Newbie Net. It's an amateur radio net here in Southwest Florida where new folks can come on and get some no-pressure mic time and talk about their development in the new hobby that they've found. A lot of times older hams that have been around a while come in as well and help out. And it's kind of, there's a lot of elmering that goes on, which is basically a term we use for helping newer hams to get started in the hobby, whether it's learning how to build your first antenna or learning what radio to buy or learning CW or something crazy like that. So it gives everybody a chance to get on the radio and get a little bit of no pressure mic time. So we do have it up here. We are monitoring, and they should be starting literally any moment now. And I will be participating tonight, as well as broadcasting it on here. So when I talk, you will not hear me through the radio. You'll hear me through the microphone, because that's how I'm going to set it up and do it tonight. Sometimes I set up a second radio and I use a dual sound card and all that, but I don't have that all set up right now. So we're just going to do it this way for tonight. They should be starting any moment now.
Welcome to the Fort Myers Amateur Radio Club linked repeater system.
Hello. Why do all the amateur radio sites speak British? Have you ever wondered that? Hello. Have you wondered? Yeah. Okay, guys. Hold on just a second, and we'll. I'm pulling up my chat so I can see. We will be monitoring the chat. Carlotta's out there also in the chat. There we go. Let me find it here.
Is there anybody that needs to use the linked repeater system before the beginning of the Newbie Net? Come now. This is N1NQU. Nothing heard. CQ. This is Larry, N1NQU with Fort Myers Amateur Radio Club Newbie Net. This net is primarily for newbies to give them some no-pressure mic time and to answer any questions they may have regarding ham radio. What we do is take check-ins, then go around twice to see if we can answer those questions that come up. Please, if you use phonetics when checking in, use the standard ARRL approved phonetic alphabet. This is Larry, N1.
Oh, for Christ's sake, don't. All right, here we go. I got a loose wire on that sound card.
Net control. This is Kilo Romeo 4, Alpha Juliet Mike. David.
Net control. Check in KO4EFS, Kilo Oscar 4, Echo Foxtrot Sierra, Ian, Indigo Alpha November in North Fort Myers.
Net control. Kilo 4, Romeo Alpha Bravo, Rick in Fort Myers. Net control. This is Whiskey Delta 4, Mike Alpha November. Here in Lehigh, Lehigh. Here is Alpha 4, Juliet, EF. Okay, we'll hold up there for just a moment. I do think there was a double in there, so if you do not hear your name called, then you are probably in that double, and I wasn't able to pull you out. So I did copy K1, CJV, Carmine, KR4, PJM, David, KO4, EFS, Ian. Ian's been a while, nice to hear you. K4, RAB, Rick, WD4, MAN, Daryl, and AA4JS, John. So as I said, I think there was a double in there and I missed somebody. So if you can come back in and any additional check-ins, come now. W4EJW Ed. W4EJW Ed, got you in there. Do we have any additional check-ins? Call sign and first name, please.
November 6th, Juliet Delta Hotel, John, but I'll be on the side tonight.
Okay, we picked up N6, JDH, John, who is going to be monitoring. John, I won't call on you in that case, but if you do have something you want to jump in, feel free. And Saturday, I did try to get you on 12 meters. I saw you. I could barely hear you. We were too close for Skywave and too far for ground wave. Do we have any additional check-ins? Call sign and first name, please. Nothing heard. So with that, we'll go ahead and jump right in. And as always, have a topic for the evening, which is a general talking point. Although if anybody has something that they want to bring up, ham radio related, that is always welcomed and encouraged. That's why we're here. And if it's something that we can work through pretty quickly, we'll take it on. And if it looks like it's going to be something that's going to be a little bit more involved, then we just may devote a night and call that the topic of the evening. So if somebody wants to come in, feel free to throw your call sign out there, and I will pick you up and get you in there. I will also give the first round and end of the second round. So let me break for the repeater. So also, as a reminder, this is a learning net. So as a learning net, I always offer, if folks want to come in, they want to take a turn being net control, either doing a predetermined topic or one of their choosing, that's always encouraged. As I said, it's a learning net, and this way folks can get a little bit of experience and with not a lot of pressure. So, topic of the evening, and I don't know that we've really tried something like this, but I was trying out a new antenna this weekend, and I was thinking that might be something interesting to have folks with a little bit more experience tell us or give us a review on something that they've been using or testing that either they really like or something that maybe was disappointing. But, whichever way you go, let us know what you got, what you thought of it, and what you liked or didn't like of it. For folks that are a little bit newer and don't really have anything they feel comfortable revealing, is there something that you're interested in purchasing or you've been eyeing? And if so, what is that? And we'll see. As I mentioned before, we have enough folks on this net that have been around for a while and have probably either have or have had whatever radio or equipment that you're looking at purchasing and can maybe give you some advice. So before we jump in, I will give another call and see, do we have any additional check-ins? Come now, call sign and first name. Nothing heard. So this is Larry, N1NQU, for the Fort Myers Amateur Radio Club, Newbie Net. And with that, Carmine, K1, TJV. We'll stop up to the top, and what do you have for us tonight?
Yeah, this is K1CJV. I'm sorry, Larry, I just ran back into the room. I didn't guess what the topic was. Could you just tell it to me again, please?
Just trying a little bit of an experiment tonight, and we've talked about folks, having all sorts of different types of equipment. So for more experienced folks, if there's a piece of equipment or two that you want to give a review on, whether something that didn't quite live up to your expectations or something that you got and you really, really enjoy and like. And for those that, may not have something to want to review, if they're thinking about purchasing something, a piece of equipment, let us know what they're thinking about purchasing and see if we can, give them some reviews on that equipment. Back to you, Carmine.
Yeah, this is K1CJV. I think I got a couple pieces of equipment that I recently got, and they're ham-related, sort of. One of it is actually my interrupt power supply, interrupting power supply backup in case I lose power. I have it hooked up to my router and all my Raspberry Pis, and it's a lithium iron phosphate, and it'll run that equipment for probably, I think it's close to 15 hours. It'll run my router and all my Raspberry Pis, so as long as the internet didn't go out, I may not have power, but I'll still be able to connect. Break? Yeah, but basically my radios, I like the radios that I have, the RESP, the 150 RESP, that's a nice radio that I like a lot. And but some of the stuff that I'm getting is really more of the smaller stuff that just makes life easier. I have a pass-through, slide under the window, short converter, a short cable, flat, so I can shut the window and still hook up the cable. I tested it out and it works great. It was $10, so I'm going to pick up a few more of those, and just little things like that that are just making life a little bit easier. That's what I'm really looking at right now. Other than that, you'll like what you buy, obviously, but I think that's about it. That's the net, and I got to go and do a couple of things with the dog, so I'm going to take my portable and listen in.
Thanks, Carmine, and that's a couple good points there. First of all, don't forget, to put, some of your equipment, including your router, on battery backup. And when Milton came through, I actually did put my router on battery backup before the power went out by probably about 45 minutes. I timed it pretty well, and I probably had internet about 12 hours longer than everybody else. A lot of folks forget you could lose you could lose power, but it doesn't mean you've lost internet service. So that worked out really well, and the little things like a pass-through wire, definitely make life a little bit easier. So thank you, Carmine. David, KR4PI-R. Do you have anything you want to review or something that you're looking, to find out information on? Over to you.
Comment, this is KR4PI-R. I really don't have anything to review, per se. I'm kind of new into this. Just had a diamond antenna X30 installed up in my attic. And currently I'm using a mobile radio at the base station, which is the Yaesu 500 FTM 500. I am in the process, and then I'm looking for a base station, and I'm leaning towards the 991. I can't remember the manufacturer of it, but that's what I might be interested in because of the bands it has.
Let me just give a quick, was there someone that was coming in there with a comment?
Yeah, Larry, this is Whiskey for Echo Juliet Whiskey. It was for Carmine. I wanted to know where he purchased those window pass-throughs for that price.
information?
Yeah, I can. I got it actually on eBay, and I think what you can do is send an email to ham.k1cjv.com@gmail.com and just ask me to send you a link, and I'll send it to you. Back to you.
Thank you, Carmine. Ed, did you catch that?
Yes, thank you, Carmine. Thank you, Net.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you for coming in. I know that there's a few 991A users out there, and we'll see if somebody wants to come in and give their impressions of the radio. Anyone with a comment, come now.
Well, this is K1CJV. I'll give a comment since I have one and I haven't left yet. The 991 is a great radio. I have it. I use it for, I can use it in the field, or I actually, that's my main house station, HF. But it's a little heavy for portable, but it works. And I like a Shack in the Box. That was my first radio, was a Shack in the Box that I really got a nice radio, and absolutely love it. The only other one out there is probably the 71, the ICOM 7100. That's another all-bander that you can look at. But I don't know, I'm a Yaesu guy, so my stuff leans there. Actually, was looking at maybe another HF rig for the house and make this my backup in another room. I'm thinking in the FT-DX10. Back to you.
This is David. Is there going to be a replacement for the FT991?
No, that's not going to replace the 991. The 991, actually, I have that in a Go box. So if I need a Go box that needs HF, UHF, VHF, as well as WinLink capability, battery backup, that's what's in that Go box. But I primarily use it at my house. But I'd like to get a nice HF rig for the house. Back to you.
Okay, Mary, I actually have another question for everybody. Is it worth getting an all-band radio for a base station, or should I actually have like a UHF, VHF, and then a HF radio separate? What is your guys' experience been on that?
Well, my thought is,
Larry and
that,
MQU.
I mean, I have some backup radios, but if you only have a Shack in the Box,
I'll tell you what, I have my thoughts on that, but I'm going to see if anyone else has comments first. Is there anyone else who wants to comment on that?
HF,
Come now.
and then you have a UHF, VHF, you still have something running when the other one fails. So you really have to look at what you feel comfortable with, and you have to look at where your price point is and your budget is. Because two radios, you probably may need two power supplies, or a bigger power supply to run two radios. There's a lot to look into. Back to you.
Southwwest repeater.
I do apologize. It was you and Larry were doubling there at the very beginning of that.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that last one.
I'm sorry. Part of that was doubling between the two of you guys. I got the back end of it, but I didn't understand, or I didn't hear what you were saying about having it all in one radio or two separate radios outside of the power supply at the band.
Yeah, that's a Roger. I think if you have an all-in-one radio, or what we call a Shack in the Box, if it goes down, you lose all of your radio communication. If you have two different radios, one for HF, one for UHF, VHF, you're not going to have them both go down at the same time. So you still have some working communication for you that you can play around with. But it's also more expensive having two radios because you got extra things you got to look at. Back to you.
Thank you. That's a great comment about radio going down completely. Thank you for that comment.
Figure out what you want. I mean, I have my 991 that does everything, but then I also have backup UHF VHF here. So I got 3 UHF VHF backups.
KR4 Ian, coming in with a comment. Over to you.
Yeah, I have a shack in the box, and I've got a bunch of different radios. I've probably got 30 of them. And I'll tell you, the way I see it, I like my shack in the box, but I don't use it much because I found it easier to buy a 25-watt radio that I can put on chirp and program all of the repeaters for 5 counties in it, and use that, and I can just cycle through the channels real easy and put it up so I can read it. And then if I want to do 2-meter sideband or 70-centimeter sideband or anything like that, then I'll go over to the shack in the box and use it for that. And I agree with Carmine on the you don't want to put all your your eggs in one basket there. But I would get me a cheaper radio, either a Chinese or a less expensive Japanese radio that you can program all your repeater channels in, so it's real convenient for you. And then save your shack in the box for contesting and doing some other really cool stuff. KO4EFS.
Thanks, Ian, and that's a really good point. And I do have a comment, but I want to see if anyone else wants to jump in with some additional comments on that. Come now.
AA4JS.
AA4JS, over to you, John.
Yeah, if you buy the cheap Japanese stuff, yeah, you're gonna have trouble. But when you buy a good quality piece of equipment that does everything, it's going to last. I have done my share of stuff in bad weather, and including a couple of storms, and it's nice to have one radio that will do both. You don't have a whole lot of space to work, so it's nice to have a nice radio, considering my 71, that will do either our local stuff or the more government stuff. Anyway, that's my thought, and it's worked pretty good for me.
This is November 6th, Juliet Delta Hotel comment.
And 6, JDH, John, over to you for comment.
I have to agree. I have over on the shelf in the kitchen off to the side, I have 2 TID radios, actually 4 TID radios that were rather inexpensive. I think they were 2 for $40. The only thing I use them for is if I go fishing and in case I drop one in the water, it's no big loss. But in reference to the TID radios, I will put my ICOM 52A up against any of the Chinese radios, and there's no comparison in the quality of the transmission or reception, or just the quality of the radio. But anyway, that's just my opinion. I do think there's a place for the Bofangs and the TID radios, but in a life-saving situation, you better have more than a couple of them. That's just my opinion. Back to Net, November 6th, Juliet Delta Hotel.
KO4 EFS, Ian, back to you for comment.
Yeah, that I just want to say for the record that that's not been my experience. I've had very good luck with the Chinese radios. My first couple of UV5Rs still work. They were crap. They were spurious. They put out about 3 watts, but they still work. Now, that being said, I was going to talk about it in a few minutes, and I still will. But I just bought the UV25, and I'll put that radio up against any Japanese radio. It puts out a full 11 watts on 2-meter call. The receive on it is amazing. I mean, better than my base radios. I hook it up to the big antenna, and I can't believe what I can hear on this thing. It's very rugged. It's twice the size of the other radios. So I wouldn't write off Chinese radios. For $50, you can buy something that I would depend on in a disaster. And they've come a long way in the last 3 or 4 years. So just keep your options open out there. And if you want... I'm going through these radios one at a time and doing product reviews on them, and I'm impressed because you no longer have to convert the Chinese wattage. When they say it's 10, it's 10. That's pretty good. So that's all I wanted to say was, don't write them off. And they are great to have when you need something you can drop in the water. I do agree with that. A lot better than a nice $300 Yaesu or something. KO4EFS.
Thanks, Ian. And yeah, it definitely ruins your day if an expensive radio goes for a swim. Do we have anybody else that has comment on 991A? Come now.
I'm coughing in the mic, guys. Sorry about that. I didn't realize it was on.
This is Larry, NQU for the Fort Myers Amateur Radio Club Newbie Net. So, David, I will give you my personal opinion. I have a 991A, and it is the first HF radio that I got, and a lot of that was because when I got it was a technician. So I kind of grew into the radio. It was also the radio I got my first HF contacts on. So it is a solid radio. It has a lot of features in it, and, it is very nice if you want to do, sideband and, a lot of different modes that you might not be able to do on a UHF, VHF mobile radio. What I will say is that, and I found that this applies to the shack-in-the-box radios in general. The shack-in-the-box radios are HF radios that have 2-meter and 70 centimeter built in. So, but they're primarily HF radios. And what I found is they lack a lot of the features that you're kind of used to in a regular featured 2-meter 440. For example, the memory groups are different. Accessing memory is different. They don't really scan, the way a, mobile radio would scan through your presets. So they don't behave the same. So for that reason, I like to have my HF radio, and then I like to use my UHF, VHF mobile radio as my UHF, VHF, and have the full features on that. With that, as I said, I do have a number of shack-in-the-box radios. There's a lot to be said for them. There is a huge convenience to having one radio. And I'm actually looking forward to the new Yaesu coming out to see what happens with that. The fact that you'll have dual receive and you can actually do a dual receive UHF, VHF, or HF at the same time. That'll be kind of neat. So maybe that'll change my mind, but we'll see. And David, we'll send it back to you real quick for any additional comment. Hopefully we answered your question and then some.
Good evening. The time is 8 p.m.
This is KR4PI-R. I want to thank everybody for their input. I've taken a lot of notes here, and I'm going to do a little bit more research. Some really great points. So I'm going to let this go to the next person. I know I kind of hopped everything up here for a little bit, and I appreciate everybody.
That's okay, David. And, the reason I got held up is because there was a lot of people that had a lot of input and a lot of stuff to say, which, means that there was a lot of interest and, a lot of people with a lot of experience there, and that's actually good. And speaking of reviews and everything, Ian, KO4, EFS, you're up. I hope you're not going to review all 30 of them tonight, but if you can hit a couple popular ones. And I will say, and this is in general for Chinese manufacturing, you know, and I've seen this in other industries, the Chinese may produce a lot of inexpensive, cheap stuff, but don't be fooled, they do have the capability of producing high quality also. So, higher price point, but they do have that capability. So with that, over to you, Ian.
Thank you very much, KO4EFS. Yeah, and even that price port's coming down because these newer Baofengs with the larger screen, they're built in a much more rugged case, and very impressive. All right, let me go through my list here real quick. As far as real quick, I missed the Trader's Net. I somehow couldn't get out. I didn't have my radio set up yet. But anyway, we are looking for Roan 25 and Roan 45 tower sections. If anybody has any, we'll purchase or we'll come take it down. We'll make a deal with you. We have the ability to remove it for you. Please give us a ring. Send me an email at my call sign, ko4efs@gmail.com, and we'll be glad to come take that out of your way. Let's see, as far as my radio, I bought a TR 751 Alpha. It's a Kenwood, Tango Romeo -751 Alpha, and it's a 2-meter all mode, and I freaking love it. I bought it at the swap shop from Joe, and he told me he thought it worked. I got it home, hooked it up, works great. I bought a 5-element VHF beam that I've got horizontally polarized, shooting north-northwest, and I've been making contacts on 144 200, and I've been having an absolute blast on 2-meter sideband. We've been having some crazy openings, and I made a contact on 2-meter FM up into Jefferson County, up into the Panhandle, and then the very next day I got this radio all working, and I was making sideband contacts all up and down the state of Florida. So it's just been a lot of fun. Break for time.
Welcome to the Fort Myers Amateur Radio Club linked repeater system.
Oh, why, thank you, lady. Okay, anyway, that beam I got horizontally polarized, so I got 5-element beam shooting up north with that, and I'm getting a lot of people on the sideband 2-meter. So if you got that shack in the box, there's something else you can do with it. Get you a horizontally polarized 2-meter antenna, stick up there, make it yourself, and then there you go. You got something else you can get on, and it's a different channel. It's 144 200 sideband call. And the last thing is, I was going to mention this. I kind of mentioned it earlier. The UV25 from Baofeng. It's a whole new radio. It's built Motorola rugged, and the menuing is a lot simpler in it. You can actually program it from the front easier now. And it's putting out a full 11 watts just below 2-meter call. So I was very impressed with it, man. And it comes with this big goofy antenna that seems to have an amazing amount of gain. That's what I got for this round. I'll certainly be hanging around. I'm enjoying the conversation, and we are live worldwide on YouTube on Starship Adventures, and there's some people in there enjoying our conversation as well. There you go, KO4EFS.
Thanks, Ian. And now I have to make sure they don't say anything silly. Talk about being self-conscious. But that's okay. Thanks. As I said, it's been a little bit. This is Larry, N1NQU for the Fort Myers Amateur Radio Club Newbie Net. And Rick, K4RAB. We'll send it over to you and see if you have something you want to review. Over to you. Go ahead and take it.
Okay, this is K4RAB, and speaking of Chinese radios, over the Christmas holidays I picked up an Anytone AT778 UV. I guess it's Mark II. They got the number 2 after it. I took a little radio. I mean, it puts out 25 watts, and it has around, I think, 128 memories, somewhere in there. And I've got it set up with the local frequencies and everything. But
It's so good. I'd recommend it as a first radio for somebody that's looking for a decent radio. I mean, I'm probably in the minority, but I'm in favor of a new ham buying a mobile rig before they buy a handheld, because the mobile rig's going to get them in the repeater better. But anyway, let me reset. The other rig I love is of course I've got several of them here. I've got a KX3, which I've been running today, but my ICOM 7100 is my favorite radio for portable, like field day and that kind of thing. And of course it has 2-meter sideband capability, of course, as well as 6 meters and all the other bands. But that's my favorite portable radio, because that thing will do everything. It's pretty doggone good CW rig too. So I've been very, very happy with that rig. It's small. The case I've got it in is way too big for it, so I'm probably going to try to downsize that and get something smaller for it. But anyway, that's my favorite shack-in-a-box rig is the 7100. Looked at the 991A, nice rig, but I think it's heavier. So just my personal opinion. I know the Yaesu fans out there might disagree, and it's a good rig. They make great radios, though. But anyway, I guess that's it for me. But that little Anytone rig is pretty nice. For the price, I think I paid $120 for it on Amazon yet. But good radio. Back to net, K4REB.
Thanks, Rick. And I will say the Anytones, they've been around for a while. They are very heavy, and they seem like they're built real solid, and big battery on them. They tend to really have good battery life. The 7100, and I do have a 7100 also, and 7100 versus 991A, the biggest thing, well, I mean, besides the fact that you have Fusion on the 991 and V-Star on the 7100, it's a different form factor. And, you know, for example, the 7100 overall is a smaller radio, and it has the detachable head with the speaker built in, which is real nice. The 991 is basically, it's not a detachable head, and it's, you know, a much larger form factor. So both really good radios. They both do a lot, and I think at that point it's just somebody's preference. And, you know, you'll hear folks, you know, giving a great review on both. And I can say I've used the 7100 mobile, and the 991 does not lend itself very well to being mobile. So I will say that. So thanks, Rick. Daryl, WD4MAN, over to you. Anything you want to review for us?
Roger, fine business. I got the air conditioning going on for the night. Give me a second, I'll shut it off.
K4SJC repeater.
Okay, first of all, I've got brand new radio in my hands. How's that signal? WD4MAN.
You sound good, nice and clear. Okay, I'll bite. What'd you get?
Okay, so what I got here is a UV17 Pro GPS. It's similar to the previously described UV25. It's the 5-watter. It's got the 2-inch color LCD, and it's readable without my glasses. And I usually take a 200, 250 or 2X, 2.5X reading glasses. So I have to have the reading glasses to read the both things. Not for this one. This one's got a beautiful screen, and I'll tell you, I charged it up there when I got it, and went out and sealed my Nite door, and it's all charged up there, and after the meeting on the air ended, I picked up this radio, started punching buttons, I was able to program the channel in real fast. First time, no mistakes. So I gotta say, it's easy to program. I even tried to hook it up to the computer. Yeah, I'm not worried too much about that, but you can program it by hand if you don't like computers. That's what I like about it. I'm not using the standard antenna. I'm using a Comet, I think it's the HT224. It's one of my favorite tri-band antennas. It's a tri-band radio too, by the way. And I've got the extended life battery. It's a 3800 milliamp hour battery. I think the standard is 2800 milliamp hour battery. I was able to get like two 3800 milliamp hours for $22. I can't beat that deal. This radio isn't $35. So that's hard to beat. So I get the radio plus two backup batteries, and then I spend a lot less than a lot of people. Plus I can get into the radio probably. WD4MAN, back to net.
Thanks, Daryl. And you said that was a UV72. Just if I'm not sure I got the model quite right. If you could clarify that.
Uniform Victor 17 Pro GPS. There's a Uniform Victor 17R, and it programs like the old telephone radio, totally different unit.
Okay, that's better. I did have it wrong, so thanks for clarifying that. And they're coming out with a lot of models. It's interesting. I'll have to take a look and see what they've come out with, just in general. Back to you.
Fine business. And the audio is much better than the other radios I had asked people, thanks, to compare it with there. And the audio is much clearer on this radio. And I've got hearing problems, so I noticed it a little bit more, I think. And pretty satisfied with it so far. I'll see how hard it is to get it working with a program. I don't think Troop works on these radios. I think you have to use the factory software. I haven't looked into that yet. So I'll give you, I'll get more information when I get to it. Like I said, I got this today, brand new radio. And I got programmed in less than 5 minutes for at least one channel. WD4MAN. Back to net.
Thanks, Daryl. And once you get a little bit of time playing with it, you can give us a little bit more detailed review. This is Larry, N1NQU for the Fort Myers Amateur Radio Club Newbie Net. John, KA4JS, over to you. Anything you want to review? 7100, 991, or anything else? Over to you.
Well, yes, and yes. Yeah, he and I have very much the same radios, and so he and I have already had these conferences many times. Okay, first of all, for an antenna here at the house, I've got a 104-inch 2x2 antenna. So it's 52, 52 on each end, and goes north and south. And I don't seem to have trouble getting south or east and west. So that does that. Oh gosh, what else did I write? I have a up and down. I can't even read my writing. An outside antenna, basically up and down antenna that does POTA stuff, and it's set up for 20, 15, and 10, but I find that it also works well on 10 or on
20 or 40. And so I found that interesting. You know, several of us made different comments earlier about what we think are best or what they think works. And I'll tell you, I don't claim to be the smartest man in the world, but I know what I've worked. But that said, you know, there are a lot of things that work. You know, there's no one answer for most of anything. So there you go. You know, if you don't like something, try it. Find something else. And if it does, keep it. And you know, that's kind of what I've come to be as a ham radio operator. Obviously, he and I both like our 71, and we like our 991. And as he said, the 991's a little big to take out for something. I used to do that before I bought the 7100. The 71 is just awfully nice for that. Anyway, I've talked enough, so back to you, Ray, from AA4JF.
Thanks, John. And actually, both are fine radios. I will definitely say that. One thing I did want to mention, I didn't know if you noticed that the 750 link went down for about an hour this morning. If you did, it was probably between about 6 and 7 o'clock, and as it turns out, it was not the problem with the link. The internet actually went down. So, and Xfinity, basically, I was trying to figure out their map, and based on that, it was somewhere between 100 and 600 customers. It wasn't very exact, so I didn't notice if you had noticed that at all. Back to you. Not sure what was going on with that, John. There was some almost like a backfeed there, and echo, and didn't really get a lot of audio. Send it back to you.
KR4PI-R repeater.
Yeah, I heard something too, and wasn't sure about that. But what I was saying, no, I wasn't listening at 6 a.m.
Okay, and I was just curious, and so the internet went down, and when the internet went down, the radio kept on trying to connect. Periodically it would, kind of hunt for it, and eventually when the internet came back up, it went right back and reconnected. So I was impressed. It's working pretty well. Still want to do some testing on it, though. With that, we'll go to Ed, W4EJW. Ed. Anything you want to review, or if you're looking for information on, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Larry. This is Whiskey 4 Echo Juliet Whiskey. I have a 7100 that I like, and I know it was actually reviewed already by another member. But it gives me access to everything that I want to do, including D-Star, which I like listening to, 30 Charlie. But what I really like to talk about is something that Carmine brought up, and that's that window feed-through. And the reason I'm bringing it up is, DX Engineering shows Comet and Diamond, and those things run between $57 and $60. I know eBay because I looked already after he mentioned it to me, and you can buy a couple for under $10. My concern is getting one and testing it for resistance for SWR, and that's what I plan to do.
I want to see how it actually works because it would prevent me from having to drill through to run a coax. So that's my plan, and that's what I'm going to look into as soon as I can get a hold of one of these. Back to you.
And that would be kind of neat. If you and Carmine, if you both have them and can maybe do a little bit of testing and report back and say, hey, I've been using these and, this is how it works. And realistically, I would expect some sort of insertion loss. Anytime you put anything in there, you're going to get an insertion loss. It's just a question of how much. And if it's relatively small, then, yeah, for $10, versus 50 or 60, that's definitely a big difference. Back to you, Ed.
Yeah, the nomenclature on the Comet is 0.5 dB loss. Again, it's an expensive item, and it probably does work that well. But I'm curious to see how these others, are going to do, and I'll put on SWR and see exactly what the loss is going to be and what the match is. But I'm looking forward to do that, and I will, when I get it, test it and report back. That's all I have, and I'll say 73 after this round. Allow me to get to doing something else tonight. But it's always a pleasure to listen to what goes on here, and I always learn a lot. So back to you. This is Whiskey 4 Echo Juliet Whiskey.
Thanks, Ed, and we'll look forward to a report on that pass-through. And I'll put this down as your 7-3 round. If you happen to be around, you want to come back in, just give a shout. This is Larry, N1NQU for the Fort Myers Amateur Radio Club Newbie Net. And with that, I know we've reached the end. John was monitoring. So do we have any additional check-ins for the Newbie Net? Come now. Call sign and first name.
Whiskey 4, Echo Papa Sierra, Eric. It's Mike. Victor Echo 7, X-ray Papa.
And N6 JDH will join towards the end.
Okay, we had a few in there and some partial doubles. I picked up that John was going to come in at the end. I picked up W4EPS Eric. And Mike, if you can come back with your call sign, I got your name, missed your call sign.
No problem. This is Kilo Lima 7, Mike Romeo. Mike up in Arizona.
Okay, Mike in Arizona, I got you that time, and we had some doubles. And VE7, I believe that was Austin. If you can come back with your full call sign, I caught the VE7. Come back.
Victor Echo 7, X-ray Papa, Austin.
Okay, VE7 XPP, got you that time. So, and just, I do actually run two separate logs, so when I do the meeting on the air, I have one log, and then in that 5 minute, I shut down the computer for the net logger, kind of switch everything over, and, then switch over to the log for the Newbie Net. So, I usually don't have them both out, and I try to make room. So, with that, we'll go to Eric, or EPS. Eric, you have a review that you want to do for us, or something you want reviewed?
W4EPS here. Good evening, everyone. I have thoroughly enjoyed this net. This is pretty fun to listen to. The only review I got is I've got Balfangs and Yesus. Love them all. I haven't
Net radio I haven't liked yet. I too am excited about the new Yaesu little mini, whatever it is. However, my newest pet is that FX4CR, and I got to tell you, I'm pretty thrilled with it. I try to run it every couple of days. It's a blast in a super tiny package, and the price point at like $550 delivered is screaming cheap, and it's actually pretty doggone easy to understand and learn pretty rapidly. So anybody that's into HF, super encourage you to look into that one. That's about it. I'm going to send it back to Net. This is W4EPS.
So, Eric, before you go, I do want to say you had mentioned that. I think it was it last week or the week before in the Net? And I actually looked it up, and it's pretty neat. And I don't know, kind of on the fence because, as I said, I'm looking at the other radio. So, what do you like about it? And I'm also curious. They were saying that there was like a 2-month order time. So I don't know if that's still the case. Back to you, if you can comment on the radio a little bit more.
Sure, W4EPS. Overall, I just jumped on it. You know, it wasn't available once or twice. I was looking at it, and then it was, and I just pulled the trigger. Gentlemen, if you send him an email, he'll send you back a PayPal invoice, and you pay that. And, you know, a week and a half later, it shows up. It's in a great little box, super tight. You're going to have to relocate it into like a little Apache or something to put all your goods with it, or battery, or whatever the mess you're going to pack out. What I really like about it is it's small, but yet it's quality. It feels like quality anyways. It responds like quality. And when you read the blogs or the sites that talk about it, it seems that they're very responsive to firmware updates. So, you know, if you have a problem, make a note, send down an email, or join in on the blogs. And they seem to address them pretty rapidly. I haven't run across anything, but, you know, still a newbie, still playing with this stuff. But super easy to learn. Read the book, and then, sorry about that, break. So I read the book and went through the little owner's manual, quick start guide. It all makes sense, but when I sat down with it and threw it on MFET half wave, took about 20 minutes, and I feel like I can work it pretty okay. And, you know, ever since then, it just gets easier and easier. So, really, I love it. I mean, it's just super small compared to everything else, quick and easy. I mean, shoot, you can put it in your lunch pail and have everything up and running in 10 minutes.
KR4PI-R repeater.
Okay, I was just curious, and as I said, I had heard a lot of good things about it, and I was looking at it, and then I kind of put it aside, and I don't know, still on the fence. As I said, honestly, I don't know that I need another radio, but as I always say, how many radios do you need? It's typically one more than you have. I'll send it back to you if you have any additional comments.
N6JDH comment.
W4EPS, yeah, that was kind of the way I looked at buying this one, the FX4. It's just great. I don't have anything bad to say about it. I'm still waiting on the new Yaesu, but, you know, I don't want to get any balder or grayer between now and the time they decide to release the full thing. So we'll see. Anyhow, that's about it. W4EPS, back to Matt.
Thanks, Eric. And John, N6JDH, over to you for comment.
Yeah, is this the FX4? What is this little radio?
Well, I was going to see if Eric was going to jump in there real quick. Eric, do you want to jump in, or you want me to take it?
W4EPS. It's a small form factor. It's probably, I don't know, 3 times as thick as your cell phone and a little smaller. It's a little HF rig, runs 10 through, I think 160. Super small BNC connection, runs as variable of voltage, like 11 to 16, maybe 18. I forget what in the fire it was. Just a slick little, SDR type radio. Comes out of China. A gentleman designed it, builds them, and delivers. Very cool. I don't remember his call sign, like BG4, BG2. I forget. You can look it up on the web, but super easy to locate there. W4EPS, back to that.
N6JDH. What's the brand name and the model number?
W4EPS. It is FX4CR. That's Foxtrot X-Ray 4 Charlie Romeo. That's the model, brand, all of it.
Appreciate it. N6JDH. Back to net. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric. And John, if I'm not mistaken, the gentleman's call sign is something like BG2 something something, and if you look it up, he has his own store, or maybe it's BG0 or something like that. But there's folks that have ordered them off Amazon or some of the other sites, and it hasn't quite been the same. So everybody's saying if you are looking at them, just go to the gentleman's website and order it direct from him. And, a lot of good reviews on it. So definitely an interesting little radio. This is Larry N1NQU for the Fort Myers Amateur Radio Club Newbie Net. And with that, we will go to KL7MR, Mike in Arizona. Over to you.
Good evening to you and everybody on the net. I'll make this brief. I was just out here doing a little prepper work, putting up some freeze-dried eggs. I heard the conversation. I have to compliment each and every one of you on this net. It has been extremely interesting and entertaining, and you guys got a heck of a great ham community down your way. I wish we had the same out here. But interesting stuff, and I really appreciated you guys talking about the 7100. That's interesting. I built a few Pi Stars, which of course I have capability in that to do D-Star. I've never had a D-Star radio before, but I've heard a lot of good things about the 7100, and I just appreciate the input that you folks would have with it. Now, by the way, I do run a 991 Alpha out here. What an amazing radio. The funny thing is, it's got so many bells and whistles on it, I haven't even started to explore that radio yet. I'm just using it as pretty much a standard radio, just dialing everything by hand, and not utilizing even a fraction of the features that it has, but a great radio all around. Anyway, just wanted to pop in and say hi and tell you all thank you. You've got a very appreciative listener out west here. Wishing you all a great week, and we'll be tuning around more often. This is KL7MR via Allstar 730, and I'll turn it back over to Net Control. Thanks again.
Welcome to the Fort Myers Amateur Radio Club linked.
Thanks, Mike, and thanks for coming in. And interestingly enough, I did a quick count here, and on this net tonight, there are 4 991s owners, and there's also 4 7100 owners. So, I'll tell you, it's pretty interesting because, you have a lot of each radio, in this net. It's a pretty popular, both are pretty popular radios, and, folks that have used both of them enjoy both of them. So it's interesting that folks that have 7100s will speak highly of the 991s, and folks with the 991s will speak highly of the 7100s. So, as I said, both Shack-in-the-Box radios, but a completely different form factor, and they both have their pluses and minuses. But I said, both great radios, and both of them have been around for quite a while, which says something, and they're still being sold. So, thanks, Mike. Austin, VE7 XPP, over to you. You have a review for us, or something that you're looking for a review on?
Yeah, thank you, Next Roll. Yeah, I mean, I was just playing around and I fell in love with ICOM radio, IC32 Alpha Tango. A little bit of an older radio, but I'm loving this device. Very reliable, very rugged, very easy to use, programmable, super nice to play around with, and the frequencies that come in and come out and leave this thing are just so nice and clear. Obviously there's static, but it feels like I can hear more in the background of the static than I can with most of my other radios. Yeah, anyways, back to you. The E7XPP.
So, Austin, a little bit of noise on your signal there. You said you had the IC which model? If you could give that again.
Welcome to the Fort Myers Amateur Radio Club linked repeat.
Yeah, of course. It was going to be the IC32 Alpha Tango, 32 Alpha Tango.
Okay, sounds good. And originally, I thought you were talking about the 7200, but no, I had that completely wrong. So yeah, there's a lot of good stuff out there, and you know, some newer stuff is amazing, and some of the older stuff is it still hangs in. I mean, it really does. Anything else that you want to add in there? And before, well, we can still catch you on the second round. Back to you.
No, nothing in particular about that round other than I need to find a battery replacement for it because I don't think it's ever been replaced. And you get about 10 minutes of airtime on it, about 2 hours of standby on it. So definitely on a shortened time frame. So I've got a little battery bank that I carry around. I've the laptop battery. An older-fashioned laptop battery bank, and then I just have to swap the tip for this little bad boy. So I run it off that to get it a bit amp hours. But anyways, I'll wait for the second round. Back to you, the E7XPP.
Thanks, Austin. And yeah, unfortunately, when they get a little bit of age on them, you know, the batteries will start to go a little bit. John, you wanted to bring up the end of the round, so in the 6JDH, see if you have anything for us. Over to you.
K4SJC repeater.
Net control, that was perfect timing. This is November 6th, Juliet Delta Hotel. When you did your count on Yaesu versus ICOM, what model did you have me down for?
Welcome to the Fort Myers Amateur Radio Club linked repeater system.
I don't know that I had you down for either one. Which one should I put you down for?
Well, I do have the 7100 and the 7300, but since I want the 7100 to take the lead, go ahead and put me down for the 7100.
Okay, I think that brings us to 5 7100s on the net, and I will say I do have the 7300, and some of the folks here know how I came into that one. And when I went out to do POTA this weekend, it was the 7300 that actually made the trip. So, but still couldn't get you on 12 meters. I could barely hear you. As I said, a little bit too close, or definitely too close for Skywave and too far away for ground wave. Back to you.
Yeah, roger that. This past weekend, it was crazy with all the contesters and all that, whatever you want to call them. But they were having fun, and they pretty much owned the nets and the bands. But anyway, 10 meters was pretty hot today for Europe. And last week, it was incredibly hot for Europe. I even got Namibia and Africa and a few other countries over there. But you were going to tell us, you were going to talk about an antenna, I believe. You said something about at the beginning of the net. and I've been sort of hanging around for that because I believe you said it was an HF antenna. So I'm going to yield my time to Net Control. This is November 6th, Juliet Delta Hotel.
This is Larry, N1NQU for the Fort Myers Amateur Radio Club Newbie Net. And yes, actually, I will say on Saturday, most of my contacts were 10, 12, and 17. And 12 was doing really well, and 17 was doing extremely well, especially with the contest. You know, you had a lot of POTA stations that moved over to the non-contest bands, 12 and 17, so kind of neat. Surprisingly, 15, I didn't hear much of anything. It was definitely very quiet. So anyway, yes, I did say that, so I had seen some reviews, and, you know, on a whim, I decided to pick up the new antenna, and you've seen reviews about it. I cannot pronounce the name, whatever something. It is the JPC-12 antenna, and you can get it right off Amazon, and it's a tunable antenna for basically above 20 meters, I think 20 meters and above, you have the coil. It's basically a center-loaded coil setup, and then if you're 20 meters and below, you're using the coil. If you're going 15 meters or higher, you take the coil out and you would adjust the whip. So I had that, and one thing that it comes with is it does come complete. It comes with a ground spike, though. And some of the campgrounds, you really can't start putting spikes in the ground, or sometimes it's packed shell, and trying to get through the ground is a little tough. So what I did is I actually took a Wolf River coil, the base, and, you know, the three arms that go into it, and had to order a stud. They don't use the 3/8 24. I think they use like a 3/8 16 or 18. But was able to find the stud, double stud off Amazon to connect it, and then just ran a little jumper wire from the center conductor, which is at that point my ground. Got a little jumper wire to an alligator clip and attached it to a Faraday cloth, one of the magic carpets. Let me break for time. So I did play with tuning it around some of the bands, and one of the videos I had watched, you know, is that you can actually make notations of where the, you know, various bands were, and you could make pretty fine and pretty quick adjustments. And I have to admit, it did work. You could use it, and if you could use it and get it set up where you don't need a tuner for it, and make it resonant on, you know, whatever band you're operating on. And I pretty much played around with it on 10, 12, 15, 17, 20, 30, and 40 as far as to see if it would tune. And it did a pretty good job. So, so does it work? Yes, it did work. What I ended up going back to is I ended up going back to my standby, though, which using the Chameleon Mini matching network, which I believe is a 5-to-1, and the 17-foot whip on a little tripod, and my 25-foot counterpoise, which I was using. I had just draped it over, you know, some bushes, so it was actually elevated. Break for a moment. So what I would say is that if I was doing a single band, the JPC-12 would work very well, and I definitely tuned, and some of the bands really tuned well, like 1.1, 1. But I ended up going with the standby because what I was doing is I was activating and also hunting POTA, and when I do that, I'll go through, you know, the bands, and if I can't get anyone on one band, I will jump to another band, and this way, I was just able to jump band to band and not have to worry about getting up and tuning. So that is my story, and as I said, it does work. I will say that I was a little surprised. The build quality is actually quite good. The only thing I was disappointed in is that they don't use the 3/8 24, which is kind of like the standard thread. They use a 3/8, and I said I don't remember if it's a 16 or 18, but I did find a YouTuber who had mentioned the thread pitch, and as I said, I found the stud that I could use as an adapter, also on Amazon. Break for time, and with that, do we have any additional check-ins to the net? Come now, call sign and first name. Nothing heard. So with that, we will go back up to the top, and K1CJV. Carmine, I know you're going to be monitoring. We'll see if you're close to the radio. Over to you. K1CJV. Carmine, you still within earshot of the radio? Over to you. Nothing heard. David, KR4PI-R, over to you. I'll tell you, you mentioned the 991, and we had 991s and 7100s coming out of the woodwork. Over to you.
This is KR4PI-R. Yes, and I appreciate everybody's input. What a great conversation tonight. Really taking in a lot of information here and really trying to figure out what decision I'm going to make. Everything makes total sense to me. It's just got to narrow it down. That's all I have for a comment right now. I'm still going to be standing by. I might come in at the end.
November 6th, Juliet Delta Hotel comment, net control.
And 6, JDH. John, over to you for comment.
K4SJC repeater.
Yes, David, if you would like to get behind a 7100 or a 7300 and operate it on a POTA, just, you know, I think I extended the invite to you before, maybe not because there's been quite a few people, but feel free to reach out to me. I generally go out about 6 days a week, and I'd be more than happy to put you behind the 7100 if that's what you wanted to try. That way you could get an understanding of the radio. Back to net.
KR4AGM. What was your call sign, please?
November 6th, Juliet Delta Hotel.
Thank you. And I'll probably take you up on that opportunity.
Yeah, because I mean, once you decide it's something that you're going to learn and you're going to stick with, and I mean, I'm not going to steer you away from a Yaesu or an ICOM, but I just figure, you know, you should try or get to, you know, your hands on as many of them as you can. There might be some features you like, and in this case, I'll bring because the 7100 doesn't have a built-in tuner, so. I mean, it's just one of those things, but I mean, it depends on what antenna you pair it up with also. But anyway, back to net.
Yeah, I just have one more comment. Yeah, you bring up a good point. I'm only looking at this stuff on the internet, and I'm glad you offered the opportunity to look at that one. And then also, if somebody's got a 991, I would love to look at that as well.
I don't have the 991. I do have a 7300 set up in a Go box, so that's HF only. But I can give you my number. Is that okay, net control?
Go ahead.
239-300-5343, and that's a textable number also. And I generally go up to Babcock or Cecil Webb, or not Cecil Webb, or out to Caye Acosta, which requires a boat, which I have, or I'm going to start, straying around to some other parks. But anyway, 239-300-5343. Back to net.
Thanks, John. Thanks, David. This is Larry, N1NQU for the Fort Myers Amateur Radio Club Newbie Net. And, John, I got to activate Lake Manatee State Park. And I looked in the log, and it had been quite a while since I had activated that, so that was kind of neat. Also one of my favorite parks. Ian, KO4EFS, over to you.
KO4EFS, yeah, it's great discussion tonight. Great net. Thank you for taking the net. Yeah, I have my radio is a little bit older than those. I would love to have some of those the two radios you've been mentioning. I looked them both up. I'd love to have those, but I've got an ICOM 756 Pro 2 that I'm the third key that's had it. The first two have gone silent. So a little bit of it's just a classic great radio with a huge screen, and I just love it. It's an ICOM. It's a great radio. And I got an FT100 Shack in the Box that I bought from the club. And it's a good radio too. So I go back and forth on which of those, or a Kenwood. They all three are just wonderful radio brands, and I really love them. So everybody thinks I'm the Chinese radio guy, but I actually have, I'm sitting here staring at 1, 2, 3 ICOMs, and a Kenwood, and my Yaesu. So I've got those radios, and I love them. I really do. They're just great radios. And we had a little discussion earlier in the chat as well, so that was cool. I appreciate those folks that were out there. And yeah, I was just sitting here looking. I hunt POTA, and then I go about 3 days later and I look, and then I go and log it in my logbook, and that's what I was sitting here doing, logging my last 4 POTA hunting contacts. I'll be doing POTA next week. I'm leaving on Friday to go on vacation for a week, and I'm going to be doing POTA all over North Georgia and Tennessee and North Carolina. I'm going to be activating as many parks as I can in 10 days. I'm going by myself with just my family, and we're going to have a really good time with it. So I'm looking forward to that. That's what I got, KO4EFS. Thanks, everybody, for participating tonight. It's been a great net.
Ian, thanks for coming in. It's been a little bit. And some of the old stuff, it still really works. Real quick story, I was doing some POTA, and I think I was at Babcock. And I was on an IC706, which you don't see, they're still around, and made a contact, and the gentleman actually commented on the quality of my audio, which I can honestly say I've never had someone comment on my audio like that, using a 7100 or a 991 or, anything else, but really impressive. And as it turns out, he was on an IC706 also. Older radio, but as I said, they still work. So people shouldn't rule them out. And if they're looking for something and they don't want to spend a ton of money, look on the used market. Look at something 10, 15, even 20 years old. Still be surprised. Rick, K4RAB, we'll go back over to you. Anything for us on this round?
Well, not too much. Speaking in HF rigs, I came up with an idea for a subject, namely, how long does it take to grow into your HF rig? In other words, you buy a new radio, how long does it take to understand all of the bells, whistles, and features of the radio? I think you'll be surprised there are a lot of people that take years. So anyway, but yeah, I'm still learning new stuff about the 7100. Well, I've got a K2, which I've had for years, and I'm still learning new stuff about it. So it takes a while. That might make an interesting discussion. So with that, I'll send it back to you, K4RAB.
Thanks, Rick. And I put that down as a topic. That is a really good question, and I think I have some thoughts on it, but I'd like to see what people say on that. So I think we're going to do that next week and just see what people say, and hopefully everyone will join us and give us their opinions and what they found. So thanks, Rick. Daryl, WD4MAN, back over to you.
Okay, fine business there. And all my HF equipment is used. If you want to talk about complicated and you haven't done everything you can do on it, I have a Flex 3000. And there's all kinds of things you can do with that because you got the computer involved. It's SDR, if anybody doesn't know that. And, you get FL Digi involved, and you can do all kinds of things with that. And I haven't done a lot of it there. Once I get back on HF again, my antenna's down there, I'll get back into that, though. But I've got Kenwood, I've got Yasu, UASU, whatever you want to call it there. And those manuals are tough. The documentation isn't always the best on those things there, and I'm a picky guy on documentation. That's what I like about the Flex Radio. The documentation is excellent on it. And there's a lot of ham stuff on it, too, that works. A lot of ham forums and support. This radio sounds good tonight. I'm surprised. It's much clearer than all the handhelds I got. It's at least as clear as my base radio, if not clearer. I'm very impressed with it, and I've been enjoying listening to the QSO here with my buddy Charlie. He's been hanging out with me on the Lehigh. It's such a beautiful night out here on the Lehigh. It's good to have a handheld and be able to talk and under the stars, but there isn't any stars out really. There's a few of them out there, but it's kind of hazy, I think, here anyway. Well, I'm going to call it a day and give my 73s there and go inside. Charlie will probably follow me in for his nightly kitty snack, and that'll be that. This is WD4MAN, back to net.
Good evening. The
K4PI-R and
9 p.m.
Thanks, Daryl. And I'll tell you, the Flex radios, I'm familiar with them. I've never used one or seen one in person, but I'll tell you, definitely a whole different level. And yes, some really neat YouTube stuff as far as tours and everything else. So, and yeah, I'm sure Charlie will hang out and have a snack. I had my little ones coming to visit before, and they got bored, and they all went to do their own thing. So, thanks, Daryl. John, AA4JS, send it back over your way.
Okay, well, we've had an awfully interesting discussion this evening, and I think I've pretty much covered everything I had that time. But as like I said earlier, there's no perfect answer. What you get and what you enjoy, that's more important anyway. I like the stuff I've got, but I'll be the first to admit that on something you've got, I may not have or ever tried. So I can't give a full thing, but that's kind of where I'm at. And I like what I do and have a lot of fun with it. So there we go. Back to you from AA4JS.
This is Larry, N1NQU for the Fort Myers Amateur Radio Club Newbie Net. Thanks, John. And you're right. So I wasn't exactly sure, when it came up with the topic, how it was going to go, if it was going to work, if it was going to go a little sideways there. So it seems like, most folks enjoyed it. And one thing, is that you have somebody that has a question on a radio, and folks can give a lot of different opinions on it. And, it's nice that everybody is talking about what they like about the radio, and they're giving very quality feedback about it. Nobody is trashing one brand versus another brand, and there's a lot of new radios and a lot of new stuff, and then there's some older stuff. And you get enough people on the net, and most of the folks on the net, especially if they've been hams for any length of time, have a bunch of radios, probably more than they need, but they have those radios and they use them, and they have a lot of good input. And you have somebody that comes along and they're looking for some information, and you can get information, on, a different radio from, 3 different sources. So there's something to be said. It's better than a Google review. So thanks, John. And you're right. In a lot of cases, it's not that some equipment is bad and some equipment is better. A lot of it is that there's certain stuff that works better for what you do and what you prefer. But both products are good products. So that was a very good point. Thank you. Eric, W4 EPS, send it back over to you. W4 top quality job. And it's W4 EPS. Good night. Thanks, Eric. And you were coming in and you were kind of picket fencing, and you would get the repeater, lose the repeater. Sorry, I had to break there to cough for a moment. And so I think that means that you're on your way home, and I know you get into that section, and reception goes down quite a bit. So did catch that you were calling at your 7.3, and thanks for coming in. And as always, I don't know, maybe I'll have to go back and look at that FX4CR. So who knows? Mike, KL7MR. Mike, you still with us from Arizona? I think it's a couple hours ahead of us, or behind us here. So it's probably more like 7 o'clock your time. You still with us?
I am. Here in Arizona, we don't adjust our clocks. So we're actually the same as California or Pacific time right now. So you folks have got 3 hours on us. But anyway, yeah, good discussion all around. I've got a friend of mine. This is why we're hooked up to your system. Our good friend, Bill, Dr. Bill, W6WHS, is down there in your area, and we like to stay hooked up with him. But he's been extolling the virtues of D-Star to me. That's why I'm interested in that 7100 and other gear like that. So that's why I really appreciate all the ins and outs of what we're doing. I've got like 3 Pi Stars in the office and 1 in the shop. They come in handy. I stay in touch with a lot of friends worldwide, of course, on DMR and on YSF and whatnot. So why not add D-Star to the mix? Actually, I'm going to be back on the road again before too long, and D-Star would be very, very helpful to me just because you can get the signal strength, direction, and everything else, and all the information of the repeaters that you're coming to and going from on the road. That's just some features that none of the other digital modes that I know of that would really be helpful there. Do I need another piece of ham equipment? Why, yes, I do. Ham radio to me is just like guns. You can never have enough, and even though they all do kind of the same thing, everyone's just got their edges there. So anyway, yep, still here with you, and I'll be around until you close.
just burning in the antenna. I got a D404, which is going to get put into permanent operation tomorrow. So we're really looking forward to that on the 446.325 up here in Willow Creek Ranch. Anyway, I'll turn it back over to Net Control there. This is KL7MR, Mike down Willow Creek Ranch, Northwest Arizona.
Thanks, Mike. I think that one of the reasons that we always feel the need to get a different radio, or I won't even say different, another radio, is that, most hams we love to experiment. We like to try new things. And a new radio comes out, and we want to try it. A new antenna comes out, we want to try it. I have a bunch of antennas, and they came out with a new antenna, and I had to give it a try and see what I thought of it. So I think that's just in the nature of the folks that are in the hobby, and it's that curiosity. And I will say that, yes, I am actually familiar with that Arizona does not go on daylight savings time, and I know that because I lived out, and I know we've had that conversation that I lived out in Arizona for about a year and a half, going through a training program a long, long time ago, probably about 25 years ago now, and it was just when they finished the first section of the 101 loop in Phoenix. So, been that long. So, thanks for coming in, Mike, and this is Larry, N1NQU for the Fort Myers Amateur Radio Club Newbie Net, and we'll go to Austin and see if he's still with us, VE7XPP. Austin, you still online with us?
K4SJC repeater.
Yes, I'm following up the Falcon, yes, and I've been definitely looking at the website, trying to see if there's any repeaters stronger to me, but unfortunately this is as good as she's going to get for you guys. Yeah. What topic are we on?
Austin, not sure what you did on the last transmission versus this one. You had mentioned trying something a little different. You were definitely having a harder time holding the repeater on this transmission, though. Back to you.
Interesting. I haven't changed. I don't think I've done a whole ton, but yeah, that's all good then. You guys listen to the full static here, but I don't really have much more to add. I was just loving the conversation. Thanks for having that. It was amazing. Thank you very much, and yeah, I'll keep listening.
Yeah, I mean, copy-wise, I probably had about 80% plus copy. But as I said, there were sometimes, there was probably on the last transmission 3 or 4 times where you actually lost the repeater. Back to you.
Welcome to the Fort Myers Amateur Radio Club linked repeater system.
Yeah, well, not a problem. I don't, yeah, I wish I could do a little better here, but anyways, I don't really have much more to add. I'm loving the conversation. I love listening to what everyone likes and dislikes, and the model is great. I'm Googling it and looking around. It's awesome. Well, thank you. I'm still on the air listening, VE7XPP.
Awesome. Thanks for coming in. And as I said, still could copy most of what you said, but as I said, it wasn't holding the repeater as well as you did on the first round. Last up, we had John, who sent me a message that he had to jump out here. So that brings us to the end of the second round. And with that, do we have any additional check-ins for the Newbie Net? Come now. Nothing heard. Do we have anybody that has any comments, questions, ideas, topic ideas for the net? Come now.
W4 EPS.
W4EPS, Eric, over to you.
Thank you. Sorry, I was in the neighborhood earlier trying to scoot out, and it 60 seconds later, it was been good. Sorry for that transmission there being erratic. Anyway, I did check BG2, oh my gosh, it's BG2 FX or something of the sort, his site concerning that little radio, and it does show in stock, and the trick is you email that you want one, and then, like I say, they'll send you a PayPal bill, and you pay it, and actually, mine was, I think, 7 days exactly, showed up. In fact, I did not even expect it that quickly. I figured, 3 weeks or something, but great surprise. But if anybody wants to try it, be happy to meet you. You can borrow it, whatever. It's pretty easy. But I'm pretty excited about it, as you can probably tell. And that's it. Larry, you need to get one, or at least borrow mine for a week and play with it. This is W4EPS, back to net.
Thanks, Eric. And one of these days, I don't know, I may have to meet up with you and check it out. And big thing is, as always, I don't really need another radio. So, but what else is new, right? And keep on going back and forth, especially if I'm looking at the new Yaesu, do I need, 2 new ones? The answer is probably not, but, there's no guarantees. So it definitely sounded a lot better that time, and I know that once you get into the neighborhood, the transmission, you have a little bit of a tougher time there. But thanks for coming back in. And with that, do we have any additional check-ins, comments, questions, ideas, or topic ideas? Come now.
Hey, Larry, this is K4REB.
K4REB, Rick, over to you.
I must be having a brainstorm tonight. Another idea for a subject. How do you feed through the antennas from inside to outside? In other words, do you go through feed-throughs? How do you do that? I go through a Windows. Other people have other ways of doing it. It'd be interesting to see how people do that. K4REB.
I'm actually writing that down. So we have something for next week, and I'm putting the notes down in the log for the week after, and we got it in there. So thanks, and that's actually a really good idea. It's something we don't think about. I know that every time, I run into it with the RVs. If I'm trying to operate from inside the RV, how do I get the antenna in? Right. Home, I don't have to worry about it because, they're inside, but definitely mobile, that becomes a question mark also. So really good idea, and thanks for the topic. As I said, I'm always looking for topics. So do we have any other comments, questions, ideas, topics, anything at all? Come now.
KL7MR recheck.
KL7MR, Mike, over to you.
Not exactly for now, but possibly at a later date. I was gifted a G5 RV antenna. I know nothing about them. I've heard that the actual angle of the down legs are pretty critical, and the mounting height. And I was told about 32 feet, but I don't have anything that even gets close to that. But if anybody has any experience with G5 RVs or similar type antennas, either later on this evening or at a later date, I sure could use some help on that. It sounds interesting, and some people swear by them, but that could be a good option for us up this way. Anyway, back to net control, KL7MR.
Just to give a quick shout out, Carmine, K1CJV, are you still listening, or did you, you might be gone for the night, but if you're still listening, any information on the G5RV? Nothing heard. Mike, I believe Carmine either has one or has experience with them, K1CJV. If you're around next week and you want to come in, throw the question out there, and I'm sure he can give you some information. There might be a couple other folks, and we'll see what we can do. Over to you.
I'm going to do that. I'm going to put my timer on my phone to remind me. What time does this net start? And I take it it's every Monday, but you guys get going right at 7 o'clock local time then?
K4SJC repeater.
K4RB, over to you, Rick. I was waiting for the carrier to drop there.
Yeah, I was saying somebody's got an open mic. Okay, I thought something was wrong there. Yeah, as far as G5RV, I got a good friend up in Marietta, Georgia, that's got one, and we talk on 80 meters every week, 75, and don't seem to have too much trouble. So it works. I don't know how it compares. Oh, another item of discussion. What antenna would you like to try? So I must be having a brainstorm tonight. K4REB.
I will go ahead and put that one down also. As I said, and I'd rather pick up stuff and put stuff down, that people suggest rather than come up with my own, because that way I know folks are interested. And I'm going to write that down. And with that, we'll go back to Mike. Mike, this is Larry, N1NQU for the Fort Myers Amateur Radio Club Newbie Net. Mike, did you copy that? Back over to you.
If there was an open mic or a carrier when I unkeyed, I would ask the question what the time of your net was. I'm going to actually set my timer so I can make sure that I can be here next week. But what time do you guys start? Right at 7 o'clock local time?
I had to give it a moment for my note ID there. Mike, the Newbie Net does not have an exact starting time, and the reason for that is the Fort Myers Amateur Radio Club does the meeting on the air at 7 o'clock every Monday night. And actually the net control for that, although sometimes I will have guest net controls and I will be operating more in the background. So after the meeting on the air is completed, there's a 5-minute break, and then the Newbie Net starts after that. So it's just a question of how long the meeting on the air goes. As a general rule, the Newbie Net usually starts about anywhere from 7:35 to about 7:50. Plus or minus, and as I said, it's just a question of how many people jump Traders Net, how many check-ins we have, but it's meeting on the air, which is also meeting on the air Traders Net, 5-minute break, and Newbie Net. Back to you.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and put my scheduler on and make a strong attempt to be here. It's going to be interesting, though. I'll be up in Las Vegas next week, but I can easily tie in through the N4 NJJ
DJ repeater. So we'll be looking forward to that. Okay, all the best. Back to net control, KL7MR, and thanks for letting me interrupt there. All the best.
KR4PI-R comment.
AA4JS, John, come on in.
Yeah, first of all, I would like to tell you that, or not you, the gentleman we were talking about, he could do about 30% less. He's way over everybody else on the net. So you could probably tie that down. But the other thing is, I use the antenna you were asking about at 52 on each end, and the middle of it I've got up about 35 to 40 feet, and then both inches come down to probably at 13, 14 feet where they come down to, and then I've got them, of course, tied farther off stuff, but the actual thing, antenna itself, probably starts about 12 or 14 and goes up to about 35 or 40. So I just thought I'd give that to you. I like those. I've had this one out here for, oh gosh, probably 10 years. Anyway, back to you from the AA4JS.
John, thanks for jumping in there, and I didn't realize you had one of those. So otherwise, I would have given you a call to see if you were still on. And Mike, KL7MR, did you catch that? Much of it. I'm one of the few hearing impaired hams that you'll probably ever run across, but his audio is really low and he was extremely scratchy. At this location, I had a few packs drop out, so I didn't catch a lot of that, but I do know that John said that it would operate at the feed point, I believe between 14 and 30 feet. So that's good information to know. Yeah, that, and I just got to figure out how directional it is and where I need to put the legs and what kind of an angle to keep them at. But no, I appreciate the comeback on that. I really do. Okay, but I'll make sure that I'm around in future conversations, and I'm sure we can work all through that. KL7MR. Okay, thanks, Mike. And John, again, thanks for coming in and sharing that. With that, do we have any additional questions, comments, ideas, or topic ideas for the net? Come now.
Can I give him one more answer?
Was that John again? Come on in.
Yeah, this is John. I was just going to add him one more thing. Mine is almost straight north and south, but I use, I do Canada, I use South America, I hit all of the European, so I don't know that, and some people will tell you it is, but in my opinion, that thing hasn't been terribly, it seems like I can work pretty much all that. Back to you from AA4JS.
Thanks, Sean. And Mike, did you copy that? Fortunately, no. I couldn't make out a lot of that. I got a lot of background noise up here. The XYL and her friend, it is wine time here on
my shop right now where I can get a little peace and quiet.
John was just saying that he's oriented north-south, but he doesn't see a lot of directionality in it. He seems to get, good reception, throughout. Thank you.
Excellent information. Okay, we're going to keep it on that topic, or we're going to keep on that mindset and keep asking some questions. It's going to be a while before I can get that set up, but that would be a very, very early summer project for me. Once we get our auger here and we can start cutting some holes into the ground, we're going to be getting a lot of our final ham work done anyway. Okay, back to net control. KL7MR.
K4SJC repeater.
Thanks, Mike. And do we have any additional comments, questions, ideas, or topic ideas? Come now. KO4EFS, Ian, back over to you. Was that scheduled to take off at 9:46? I may have to go out there, run out there, and see if I can see it. Thanks, Ian. And for anyone that's still awake, 16 minutes, go outside and I guess look northeast and see what we see. Do we have any other comments, questions, ideas, or topic ideas? Come now.
This is KR4PI-R.
Station that was coming in, come on in. I missed the call. My node was IDing.
This is KR4AJM, David. I guess I got one extra question. I know we've been talking about antennas, but in looking at HF antennas, there is such a variety on HF antennas, if we could bring that as a topic. And also, I've heard somebody talk about up in the attic, out in the yard, there's this, and then the verticals. I would love to have a discussion on that.
Okay, I can put that down there. And I think with HF antennas, the biggest thing with HF antennas is people go with whatever they can put up, at their QTH. And as I said, we can definitely have a conversation about that. I can put that on as a future net. But just, I guess, spoiler alert, folks will go if they have an antenna, or something noticeable, they'll try to go with the wire. Maybe they'll go with the wire, but they'll go with as big of a wire as they can go with, given the property. In a perfect world, I guess we would all have towers and, would have, big antennas on them. But I think the reality is most people, put up what they can fit, given their limitations. This is N1NQ, net control for the Fort Myers Amateur Radio Club Newbie Net. Back to you, David.
Yeah, I fully understand that. Yeah, I look forward to that conversation.
I was writing it down because, as I said, in a couple weeks, one of the suggestions was, antennas. Actually, in 3 weeks, one of the question was antennas, what people would like to try. So I kind of put that down as kind of a subtopic and, kind of ask, see what people think. So I'll send it back to you, David, just in case you have any other comment.
Thank you, Larry. Yeah, no other comments. Outside of saying, once again, always thank you for running this net. Great conversation. I always learn a lot when I'm on this net. This is KR4PI-R. I'm clear, unless there's another comment.
Well, David, thank you. Thanks for coming in. And I always say it's the people on the net that make the net. You get a good group of people on here. You share a lot of information, and that's what makes it interesting. I don't know that I'm particularly interesting. So thanks. Do we have any additional comments, questions, ideas, or topics? Come now. Nothing heard. So with that, this is Larry, N1NQU, for the Fort Myers Amateur Radio Club Newbie Net, closing the net and returning the linked repeater system back to normal amateur radio use. Everybody, thanks for coming in. Thanks for sticking with me. It's definitely, a little bit later for a lot of folks, and hope everyone enjoyed it. Hope to see everyone back again next week. Everybody, have a great week, 7-3, and as I said, hopefully everyone will be back. This is N1NQU. I'll be clear.
That's going to be the end of the net there, guys. We are taking a quick peek here. The Falcon 9 SpaceX rocket, the Fram 2 Polar rocket is going to launch.
KB6JFL, you still there, Ian?
Yep, hold on just a second. They're calling me. KO4EFS. Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, just want to jump in and say hi there. I got in real late. I turned on and came back in from working the satellite pass on the SO50 there, and which I've been doing quite a bit lately, that and the space station. So been having fun with that. So got here late. Next week I will be here a little early. Anyway, KB6JFL, Bakersfield, California.
Oh, that's great, man. It's good talking to you. It's good to have you on the YouTube out there, and it's good to make contacts through there as well. Yeah, I'm actually switched over the YouTube to the Falcon 9 coverage. I may stick with this for a few minutes here, just through the launch, since we're already on, and we got a few people watching. So yeah, but I appreciate you coming on. It's good to talk to you.
Okay, very good. Yeah, I used to go to Fort Myers and Sanibel Island in the 70s vacations from Illinois there, and I know the area real well. So, of course, it's changed tremendously since, and with the hurricanes, I'm sure it's changed more. But anyway, I enjoy that area. I loved Sanibel. I was doing surf fishing out there, catching whiting in the surf. That was always a fun thing. Anyway, we'll let you go there. Get ready to watch the launch here. I have you on the YouTube on the PC and the launch on TV, usually the other way around. Anyway, KB6JFL. Okay, same here on the launches on this end. See about all the Vandenberg launches there. Seen the launch of the several satellites and all those right in the backyard. So it's only about 89, 90 miles over to maybe about 100, maybe not quite that far, over to the Vandenberg from Bakersfield. So beautiful launch of the nighttime. Anyway, KB6J about 73.
73.
K4SJC repeater.
See them kind of get more equipment out and proceed out of the capsule by themselves.
And we just heard a stage 1 engine chill has begun. You guys being on the vehicle during this time, could you feel that or hear that happening?
So I remember, notable kind of popping sounds as we progressed through different major stages of the prop load. At this point in the countdown, I remember getting really focused, knowing that we were really close and those seconds are just flying by.
I'm sure there was a lot of other things on your mind.
Stage 1 RP1 load is complete.
Oh, we heard the call out. Stage 1 fuel load's complete. We're right on the timeline. Right now, we're down to just liquid oxygen loading on the second stage. Now, were you hearing these kind of announcements from the Corps, letting you know where we were going through?
Yep, they're keeping you up to speed on everything. You hear the loops coming through the spacecraft, and it's, as Anna said, it goes by so quickly in these last couple minutes before launch.
Yeah, and we are just under a minute away from...
All right, guys, we're going to stay with this. This is actually the end of the Newbie Net, but we're going to stay with this coverage. This takes off in about 5 minutes here.
Difference with that, or did it feel the same?
That felt the same, but we knew the words that indicated that transition, and so when that happened, we knew it was go time.
Okay, T-minus 5 minutes, 23 seconds and counting. As we were just mentioning, we're coming up on the announcement to Dragon to configure for terminal count. We'll also be going to internal power on the Dragon spacecraft, so we're going to listen to the call out from the Dragon team and the Corps as we get through this next milestone in the countdown.
Falcon 9 tanks are pressing for strong back retract.
Dragon is in configure for terminal count.
Great news. The strong back that you heard called out there is the transporter erector, which you can see on your screen just to the right of the vehicle. Now, what's going to happen is the clamp arms are going to open up first, and then the strong back, where the TE is going to begin to retract away from the vehicle, just about 2 degrees. And you can see it's very slow on your screen.
The strong back is retracting.
Good call out there, but you can see on your screen the clamp arms are beginning to open up. Again, once those are fully open, that makes way for the TE to move away from the vehicle.
Yeah, and we heard the call out. We're pressurizing for strong back retract. We increased pressure into the Falcon 9 tanks, essentially stiffening the rocket so that we are then ready to open the arms up, release the load. Falcon 9 right now is standing free, except it's held down by arms at the very bottom of the Falcon 9. But you can see the arms around the second stage, which is just below the Dragon trunk, are opening. And now the strong back itself, the structure alongside the Falcon 9, will move about 2 degrees away from the Falcon 9. And then at liftoff, hydraulic arms will pull it to a position 45 degrees away. as the Falcon 9 lifts off from pad 39A. Now, next activity we ought to hear is the strung back retract is complete. We might hear that call out, we might not. And then we're also finishing up liquid oxygen loading on the first and second stages.
Yeah, at this point, fuel is loaded on both the first stage and the second stage. As John mentioned, liquid oxygen loading on stage 1 should complete in about 10 seconds or so. And then second stage liquid oxygen loading should complete at T-minus 2 minutes.
Just waiting to hear the call outs right now for stage 1 LOX load.
Stage 1 LOX load is complete.
All right, we've got a good LOX load on first
Dragon is
stage.
in terminal count and is on internal power.
And we've got the confirmation Dragon has gone internal power, coming down from the crew back to the Dragon team here in the Mission Control Center. Next major activity, T-minus 2 minutes. Stage 2 LOX load will complete, and that'll finish loading all propellants on the Falcon 9 first and second stages.
We do have a crowd building up here in front of Mission Control.
Stage 2 LOX load is complete.
All right,
Great
right on
news.
time.
Yeah. It's getting pretty exciting here as we get just under a couple minutes away from liftoff. Now that propellant loading is complete, that means that
Dragon is in auto idle.
1 million pounds of kerosene fuel and liquid oxygen are now loaded on the Falcon 9 vehicle, and we will begin some venting. This will be some venting of the
Ground gas closeouts have started. Expect loud venting.
perfect timing. That venting is going, you may see some white clouds around the vehicle. We are venting out the liquid oxygen line, and that colder air meeting the warmer ambient air in Florida is creating that condensation. And I like to describe that like the condensation building around a cold glass of water. Now we're coming up on a minute where Falcon will go into startup. This is where the internal flight computers will take over.
Falcon 9 is in startup.
And now the vehicle.
Dragon is in countdown.
Vehicle is in startup. We're now just waiting for the final call from the launch director.
All right, here we go, guys. The computer has the ball. It's either going to launch or it's not.
Go for launch.
If it gets all green lights, it goes.
Great news. We are go for launch.
SpaceX Dragon, Fram 2, go for launch.
And heard one call
T-minus
from the
30
crew.
seconds.
One last call from the From 2 crew. Let's watch as the Falcon 9 vehicle takes Dragon and From 2 into space.
Florida Station, thank you so much for the heads up. We're watching your launch live. KL7 mark.
T-minus 15 seconds.
Welcome to the Fort Myers Amateur Radio Club linked repeater system.
9, 8, 7, 6.
Or EFS, yes, just about to fly here.
2, 1, ignition, and liftoff.
You're watching second, so we side so we can try to see this thing.
Pitching downrange.
That candle, man.
Is nominal.
Yeah, if it's clear, we can use.
T plus 35 seconds into the From 2 mission, the first ever human spaceflight mission to cover the poles.
And we are throttling down the engines on the first
Power
stage.
telemetry nominal.
On the first stage vehicle for.
Stage 1, throttle down.
Oh, it's perfect timing with these callouts. We throttled down the engines
Max Q.
for Max Q, and there's Max Q. It's the maximum dynamic pressure that the vehicle
Falcon
sees
9
on
is
ascent.
supersonic.
Confirmation we're supersonic. We're preparing to throttle back up on first stage Merlin engines.
Stage 1, throttle out.
Confirmation we're back up on power on the 9 Merlin 1D engines.
Stage 1 Bravo. Bravo.
One Bravo
Copy,
called out
one
by
Bravo.
the crew. That means if there was a need for an abort with the first stage now emptying itself of propellant, Dragon would fly a different profile than if, say, right off the pad we then initiated. Waiting for the MVAC-D chill call.
MVAC chill is underway.
We're beginning to chill the second stage engine in preparation for its ignition, coming up in less than a minute.
Yeah, there it is.
JXE repeat. Back to back, we'll have MECO stage separation and second stage engine ignition. MECO is main engine cutoff. That's where we will shut down all of those 9 engines, which you're seeing there on the first stage vehicle to slow
Stage 1, throttle down.
And we've got a live view of the crew on the vehicle at this moment, which is really
main
cool.
engine cutoff.
And we will have MECO stage separation and MVAC ignition just about 10 seconds from now.
We're beginning to throttle down the Merlin engines in preparation for main engine cutoff.
Calling your all noise. You're not holding
Looking
the
up at the
return.
second stage
KR7
engine.
mark.
MECO. Stage separation confirmed.
Stage 2.
Copy, stage 2.
There it is, Houston.
MVAC ignition.
And there we just saw MECO stage separation. The MVAC engine has ignited, and we've also started the boost back burn on the first stage, which you can see there on your left-hand screen. Anna and Sarah, those were a lot of dynamic events that just happened right now that the Prom crew is experiencing, but you guys also got to experience
They are flying. KR7
I
mark.
remember, now we're in stage 2, and I remember that slow buildup of G-forces during this stage. The first stage, the G-forces come on fast, but the second stage, they're a bit slower. And so right now, you're starting to feel it come on faster and faster, and you feel that pressure into your chest. You feel yourself being pressed into your seat, harder to move your hands up. It's an exciting ride, and you see the minutes counting by until the moment that you know you'll be in space.
Yeah, you're right, because
Dragon, SpaceX, trajectory nominal.
good call out from Guidance Navigation Control Officer. Trajectory is nominal for the crew.
Dragon, copy.
And Commander copies that call out. But yeah, you had a good point. Well, we talked earlier, the second stage engine's over 200,000 pounds of thrust. There's more than 200,000 pounds of propellant, so when it first lights, it's not accelerating very rapidly. But Sarah, what's it like when you get near the end of the burn? We heard Bob and Doug back on Crew Demo 2 call it like driving down a gravelly, bumpy road at high speed.
It's definitely more, maybe a little more vibration than first stage because the engine is so much closer to the spacecraft. So you absolutely feel a difference in the sensations you experience when you're riding on the second stage.
Cool.
I'm sure the From 2 crew is feeling something similar. They're still inside of Dragon, which is still attached to the second stage, and on your left-hand screen,
SpaceX, trajectory nominal.
on the left hand of your screen, you can see a view of the MVAC engine ignited. But coming up in a couple of minutes, we'll have the entry burn on the first stage, which is currently making its way back down to Earth. And we did perform a boost back burn on this one.
Yeah, we did a one-engine boost back burn. We didn't have, normally when you launch to the east or northeast in a crew mission, you take advantage of the Earth's rotational velocity. But in this case, we're pretty much going straight south, and so you don't get that eastward velocity. So the first stage needed to use a little more propellant to get the crew up into the right position for stage separation. So we can't bring the first stage all the way back to land like we might do on an ISS mission. So instead, we're going to land on the drone ship, but not as far south as we would normally do
Dragon,
if this was
SpaceX, trajectory nominal.
something like a Starlink mission. Another nominal trajectory.
Dragon, copy. Nominal.
And the crew recites it back. We've got good comms with the crew. But yeah, Jesse, to your point, we are coming up on the second part of the return of the first stage, and that's going to be the entry burn. First stage will start the center engine and then light 2 additional engines. We should see that coming up right now at about 7 seconds. Meanwhile, the crew continuing to head to space.
During this time, we would continue to monitor the altitude as the vehicle kept rising and rising.
Yeah, you got the displays there where you guys can monitor that during the launch.
Dragon SpaceX, trajectory nominal.
And we did see on the left-hand screen that the entry burn has begun.
Copy. Nominal.
Entry burn did complete. We didn't hear any callouts, but we do have a green screen here. We have a good entry burn. Second stage continuing to head towards the separation orbit. First stage heading to the drone ship.
Stage 2 FTS has safed.
We are expecting the landing burn on the first stage to occur in about 20 seconds from now. That'll just be a single engine burn on the vehicle. Once again, the M1D engines have about 190,000 pounds of thrust, which is just enough to slow the vehicle down just in time for landing.
Panama.
Copy, Panama.
It's another abort call out on the second stage. You're on the space station, you hear it called Shannon. That tells you where you can reach if there's a problem right now.
All right, there you go, guys. We're going to be cutting the feed now.
And we've now got video
Up here we go.
on
The
first
landing's
stage.
beginning here for the
Landing
first
burn has
section.
begun.
We'll leave this just for a second longer here so we can watch this. Here it is. It's landing.
Legs are deployed. And touchdown after 6 flights. And touchdown after 6 flights.
Wow, amazing. All right, and there you guys go. That was amazing. We got to see it here. We were able to see it for quite a while as it was moving south, which is most of these move mostly west and south. This one moved mostly south, and we were able to watch it for quite some time. All right, we're going to let this go, guys. If you want to continue watching, just type in live launch or SpaceX. You'll be able to find it. Have a good one, everybody, and thanks for watching the net. KO4EFS signing off. 7-3s, everybody. This is Starship Adventures. My name's Ian.